Hello friends, Alex of Forever Classic Games here. Today I just wanted to sit down and rant about one of my favorite little games that I've discovered in the past, 3 or 4 years. And that series is Onimusha. Onimusha is incredible. It definitely seems like a game series from that era. It was released on the PS2, and pretty much the entire series is on that console. You can also pick up one of them at least on the Xbox, and then there is a Game Boy Advance spin-off that's very similar to Final Fantasy Tactics. I absolutely adore these games. I think that this series is one of the most underrated games in Capcom's catalog. There are a lot of really fun experiences to be had. Now, I streamed the entire trilogy probably 2 or 3 years ago. We had a great time. We went through the main story of each of the games, and then we played a lot of the spin-offs. We didn't finish the Tactics one, and my disc for Blade Warriors, the fighting game one, which you'll see here in this B-roll reel, had a bit of a scratch and didn't always work as planned. Around that time, I also wrote an Onimusha retrospective for RetroVideogamer.uk. That was a little guest piece that I did over there for them, but somewhere along the way, they upgraded their site. And during that upgrade, lost the actual article that I had written for them. And that's something that I really enjoy having on my resume. So I reached out to them and asked, hey, did you know where this piece went to? And they said, well, it was kind of lost in the upgrade, and we don't have any record of it anymore. Thankfully, I do most of my articles on Google Docs, so firing up Google Docs and doing a quick search for Onimusha found it in seconds. That full retrospective is now available on ForeverClassicGames.com, but do know that the only game in the series I haven't really dabbled with is the newest HD port, which I highly recommend getting. Genma Onimusha, which is a remake of sorts on the original Xbox. It's got a couple extra levels and some other features added into it. I have this game, I've just yet to sit down and play it. And then I've not really messed much with Onimusha 4 Dawn of Dreams, which is the one that a lot of people don't necessarily recommend. It's not nearly as good as the games prior to it. I played this series front to back, and it was super worth it. While a lot of people will tell you that Onimusha 2 is the best in the series, I actually enjoy the first game the most. I think it's the most focused, and to me, it's just the most fun. Now, these games are very similar to Resident Evil in that classic era, in the sense that they are tank-controlled, but it never really feels as restrictive as it does in the horror series. It's a hack-and-slash style combat system, but there are lots of counters and blocks that you can do to get instant kills on your foes, and in most of the footage you'll see from these games, I actually don't pull that off, because I'm not very good at it, but there is a difficulty I remember in one of them where the only damage you can do is that flashy counter for that sort of ultra level of challenge. Beating the game in these multiple ways will grant the player lots of costumes and unlockables and some extra modes. One of the ones that I really enjoyed is the Man in Black in Onimusha 2, where you run around with a wooden sword trying to collect these film reels. I've yet to beat it, but it is a lot of fun, and it's that silly nature of Capcom that really shines in this extra content. Now, one of the drawbacks of the Onimusha series, which we won't really get much in this video, but if you play the game yourself you'll definitely notice, is the game's voice acting is kind of a mess. It's very stiff, and it's awkward. Most of these games, if not all of them, do have a Japanese language option though, which I recommend for those that just don't want to see the cheesy nature of this series. I also really enjoyed Onimusha 3, which added analog control to the series, and that's the type of control that really kind of picked up in a lot of Capcom's remakes, especially like the Resident Evil HD collections. It works really well, and having the extra playable character, played by Jean Reno of Godzilla fame, that's where I know him the most from, is a lot of fun. And you can swap between 2 different time periods, and there's a lot of really interesting contrasting elements at work in the third one, and the combat just still feels awesome. Definitely one worth playing. I think at the very least, folks should really sit down and play the first game and the third game, because they're very interwoven. The second game is referenced to a lot in the game's narrative, but I think 1 and 3 kind of give you a great idea of what's going on in the story. Now, this is one of the series, aside from Legend of Dragoon, which is something I really want to see come back, this is probably one of my most requested sequels or HD remakes. I'm really happy that they finally did an HD remake of the first game, and that's available on PC, Switch, whatever. So that's really, really cool. I hope deep down in my heart of hearts that they do the same for the rest of the series, and then do some sort of like physical mega collection that's got them all. That would be really sweet, because I want to have that on my shelf right next to my PS2 copies. So anyways, I just wanted to come in and rant about this series a little bit. I discovered it way after the games had been popular, but I just think that they're super cool, and retro gaming fans will definitely enjoy it, especially if you like Capcom and you like hack and slash action games, and it's something that a lot of people have forgotten. So I'm Alex from Forever Classic Games, and get out there and play yourself some Onimusha. Definitely pick up that HD version of the first game, as sales for that could drive Capcom's decisions in bringing the rest of the series to modern consoles. As always, friends, be good to each other, stay cool.